This is how to use U substitution on number 3 for the practice exam packet. This is for units 1 through 5. So for number 3, we need to find what our U should be. In general, when you're using U substitution, you want to get rid of the ugliest thing. So in this case, it would be this x squared plus 1. You don't want to set U equal to x on the top. Just whenever you have a fraction, it's usually going to be the top or the bottom. The bottom is ugliest, so I will say, let's set U equal to that ugly part, x squared plus 1. And I'm going to take the derivative of both sides, du is equal to 2x, and then derivative of 1 is just 1, and don't forget your dx there as well. And now I'm going to solve for dx, solve for this dx to figure out what it turns into. So I'm going to divide both sides by 2x, and I'm left with dx is equal to 1 over 2x. All that is times du. All right, so let's make the substitution. So using all this information, U substitution, it's going to be the integral. The bounds are going to change here, and I'll come back to that in a second. But for now, it's going to be x on the top, and then it's going to be over u. So that was x over u, and then I'm going to rewrite this dx. This dx now is this thing here, which is 1 over 2x, and then multiplied by du. You'll notice here that the x's, this x and this x will cancel out, and it's going to be 1 over 2u. But let's come back to the bounds here. So this used to be 1 and it used to be 3. I can't write 1 and 3 because that's the same thing as saying x is equal to 3, x is equal to 1, but x is no longer in our equations. Let's come back up here. I hit the spacebar so it went down. So what we need to do is we need to get rid of those and then change them. And there is a multiple choice question on the final coming up where we do need to change the bounds correctly. So this is how you change those bounds. You use this equation right here. We know what the x's are. This is saying x equals 1, x equals 3. So I'm going to plug in 1 and then 3 into this equation and pop out a u, because we want u equal to something, u equal to something. All right, so when I plug in 1 squared plus 1 is 2. So the integral is from 2 to, and then 3 squared is 9 to 10. So now this is really the integral from 2 to 10. This doesn't matter so much for this problem, but it will on the final eventually. So our new equation looks like this. The integral between 2 and 10 of 1 over 2u du. From here, I take the antiderivative. Antiderivative of 2 over u, or 1 over 2u, is going to be the 1 over 2 times the natural log, because this is really the same thing. This guy right here is the same thing as 1/2 times 1 over u, and 1 over u, the antiderivative is natural log of absolute value of u, so we come back down here. So I still have that 1/2 pulled out, and it's going to be now evaluated, and it's going to be evaluated as 1/2 natural log absolute value of u, evaluated between 2 and 10. All right, so usually what we do in class is we change this back into x. The reason that we change it back into x is because these bounds were in terms of x. But if I already changed these bounds, I don't have to convert this back into x. I already did the converting over here. Every single part of this is in terms of u. I can sub in 10 and 2 right here and be done with it. If you prefer subbing back in for x, then you can keep the bounds the way they used to be, from 1 to 3. But then I would have to sub back in x squared plus 1 for this part right here. So I'm just going to keep it simple right here. And I'm going to say this is going to be 1/2 natural log of 10, and absolute value of 10 is just 10, and then I'm going to subtract 1/2 natural log of 2. All right, so I'm going to factor out the 1/2, so it's going to be 1/2 times natural log of 10 minus natural log of 2, and that's the same thing, so that 1/2 is being pulled out there. That's the same thing as 1/2 times natural log of 10 divided by 2, which is 1/2 log of 5. 1/2 log of 5 there, the answer is D. If you don't know the power rule, or if you subtract natural logs, that really means that you're dividing them. It's just a rule that you have to memorize.